Well, here we are then. Yesterday was the day before, and we're going to make sense of it with the three wise men. Michael Verney here in studio. Michael, hello.
Joe, how are you?
We have Eddie Brennan. Eddie, how you doing? How we doing, lads? And the great John Mullane is with us. John, how are you?
How we going, Joe?
Listen, bad news. Pat Spillane, Joe Brolly can't make it today.
More airtime for the rest of us.
As I said, Joe, it won't be like the Jerry Springer show today. It'll be back to the Joe Malloy show.
Well, let's see. You never know. There was a moment where Eddie, one of the things which won't make the cut for the final version.
One of many.
Where Eddie turned to Mullane and said, "You can't say that." His eyes lit up in wonder, loving every second of it.
Lads,
you can't say that.
The Spillane story about the training schedule in '89 and coming home and the hand coming. I hadn't heard that before. Jeez, I love that one now. And she was right. I loved it. Loved it.
For anyone watching on YouTube, Michael does not have tissue or something on his ear. He was doing a hurling drill yesterday morning and got sliced open.
Badly, right job. Yeah, I was just doing a basic old hook and drill there yesterday morning, and I got the hurd clipped up in the ear, and so I didn't think much of it. Just my ears were ringing a bit, but 5 or 10 minutes later, it was blood all over my neck and everything. And geez, I have to give a big shout out to the medical team in Croke Park. I obviously didn't have time to go to a doctor or a hospital or anything like that, and I couldn't be waiting around. Went into Croke Park, got it washed up at home, and just they sorted me out underneath the Hogan stand for about half an hour.
Who did?
There's a doctor on call, and did a great job. Local anaesthetic all around, and I think it's about 11 or 12 stitches went the whole way through. Yeah. There's a picture. I should throw it up on the YouTube or something there. I basically had a big bandage around my head to keep it compressed because it's an awkward spot to get compressed, and I basically looked like JJ Delaney that time. It was like Hurling Man comes in, and this is like an ode to Hurling Man.
No, don't be losing the run of yourself. Like
an ode to Hurling Man on All-Ireland final day.
Hey, Verney, when you go to play the next round, now you can remind the lads now you owe me big time now with a result now.
I'll spill blood for you boys.
You're some man. Was he out of order the way he hooked you? No.
I'm sure he was, but these things kind of happen. Mull annoyed me so much as a player by not wearing a helmet. Every time his head was touched, he got a free. The head had started wagging around and whatever. And it was basically, if Eddie always wore a helmet, I think nearly for the whole duration of his career. If he got a nick, he had a helmet on, it was grand. If Mull got a nick or any little tap, he was down, and arms were flailing. And it was a great way to get a free back in the day, Well, Mull, shots fired early, boy.
I didn't get enough of him. I tell you, for all the punishment I took.
When you had to mark the lads, I had to mark and train. You never took off the helmet.
That's a fair point.
Oh,
that's fair. Come here, we'll get into the game in a sec. How was the Jubilee experience, Eddie?
It was good. A bit mad and kind of strange because you kind of, I don't know, you feel, God, I'm not old enough to be out there doing that. But at the same time, it was nice. It was nice to get together. Again, it's funny too how there's lads in that group you don't see a whole lot in that time, and even coming out of the tunnel and that, we were close to the Cork dressing room. We just seen the lads coming out with the sticks and stuff like that, and that just churns up something inside you because the magic in that tunnel and the magic in that place. Then when you walk out onto Croke Park is incredible. So it always stirs you up,
It was mad, Eddie. How many Greg Ballycallan lads were there? Every time McDara said it, it seemed like it was a Greg Ballycallan fella being mentioned. It was a fact.
Yeah, it was brilliant because we were on a big rise at the time in the club. We won 2 minors in 94 and 96, won the under 21 and 97 in the club. Relegation final in 97, senior. And the following year we're county champions in 98. And it's
a bit like Tipp, actually.
In 4 county finals. What?
It's a bit like Tipp, funnily enough.
Yeah, we're in four county finals from 98 through 2001. And we had the big day in Croke Park, obviously Easter Monday. We were beaten by St Mary's and Athenry, who, again, the other day, I think Tom Clune and Eugene's dad passed away again. So just big connections with the club. But we were in a good place at the time. We were in a very strong position, and probably arguably should have done a little bit more. But yeah, with a good old crew there, maxing it out there on the old team holiday, and the tickets. We made sure the club got plenty of tickets that year.
I'd have an issue with the timing now, I have to say, of the Jubilee. I just think the vast majority of people are not in there. I know the GA did like a warm up thing beforehand or whatever. I still would love to see a game of some description beforehand.
No,
any type of game, and I think
I totally echo that.
And I think the Jubilee team should be paraded at half time when there's at least 50 or 60,000 people there.
And I thought it was half time.
No, about an hour before throwing.
Match.
An hour before throwing.
Throwing there then.
Yeah, well, there's people there, but there's nothing going on. Like, whereas at half time, like people are like, it's edge of the seats and stuff, and people are so excited about what's gone and what's potentially to come. I think they're missing a big trick.
I thought that's why I said I flicked over to Portish halftime. I didn't see it because I thought they'd moved it after everybody said last year this isn't working.
No, it was a bit. It was probably a bit closer to throwing than it had been. But like, it was still an hour before throwing.
Yeah, it was just
put the mini games on beforehand and put the Jubilee on at halftime. That's the way I would do it.
No, I disagree now, Michael. I think we have to go back to having some game of
minor,
some form
of
magnitude.
Oh yeah, no, I don't disagree with that, Mull. It's just that if they are playing mini games, they could play them at some stage, not at half time. In my opinion, that'd be. I definitely think there should be a game of some description, like a proper game or even an exhibition going on in the 45 minutes beforehand, because you just love watching that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's hurling final day. You want to see hurling. You don't want to. I don't want to come in and listen to people talk about hurling for an hour before, and we've been talking about it all week. I want to see something. Do you know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about hurling now.
Yes, why, Jays, there's some amount to talk about.
Yeah, bloody hell. So, Tipperary, All-Ireland champions by 15 points. And it's fun. You don't think of it as like some golden decade for Tipperary. They've nipped 3 All-Irelands in the last 10 years. Like, that is a low-key great decade. They're 29 total in men's hurling. And then for Cork, obviously, it's just a horrendous way to lose. Their weight goes on. That's 5 All-Ireland finals now since their last victory in 2005. And very telling, I think, if you want a sample of the mood in the Cork camp. The team has opted against a homecoming this evening. They did have one last year. That seems like a big call, John. No homecoming. Look, I'm sure they're not in the mood, but it's still been a good year. Maybe you should just go and see your public and put a brave face on it, or no? What do you think?
Yeah, but look, you're speaking to a man. You're asking the question of a man who had to come back from an All-Ireland defeat in 2008, where the game was over at half time. The game was probably effectively over after 20 minutes. Was it tough? Absolutely. And as I just spoke last week when we were up doing the show up and with Pat Spillane and Joe and Eddie, the 48 hours, in the immediate aftermath of that match was extremely, extremely difficult. But I think you have an obligation to go and face into your own people, and I mean, within the GAA, there's the good days, there's the bad days, and the bad days drive you on to the good days. And it can't be all about celebrating and getting the pat on the back. And, we've seen the celebrations after the Munster final, I'd say coming back to Cork that night, was supposed to be unbelievable. Even we seen the pictures back in Glen Rovers clubhouse on the Monday. So, I mean, you take the good with the bad, and I think they've missed a beat here. I know they're probably feeling low today. It's tough. Probably last night was tough for them. Today was going to be extremely tough for them. But what do? You can't just hide away from it. I mean, you can't just go and hide and think, it's going to go away. The next couple of weeks are going to be tough. People are going to be asking the question, well, what happened? What was the team talk at half time? But you still have to face into your people. And people who would come out tonight would be the most loyal people, the young kids, the supporters who adore you, who pay the money, who pay really good money week in, week out to go and support you, home, away, hail, rain or snow. And this probably would have been a great opportunity. It's probably, I've a couple of nieces and nephews, 1 or 2 nieces and nephews had an opportunity of getting a ticket. The other nephew, massive Cork fan, didn't have an opportunity to go to the final yesterday because he couldn't get his hands on the ticket. They would have been down at Páirc Uí Chaoimh tonight. And I think I wouldn't say they've let themselves down. I think they've I think they'll regret doing it, Joe, when things
The dust
start dying
settles,
down
yeah.
in a couple of months' time, 3 or 4 months' time. And I think it's the first phase of redemption, Joe, is facing your own people, and I think they probably should have
Okay.
went ahead with that.
Yeah,
With that
just
homecoming.
quickly,
Come in, Eddie,
on
yeah.
that, Joe. I won't drag it out.
No, take your time. Take your
In
time.
2010, Brian Cody assembled us underneath to stand in the warm-up area, and he spoke to us really well. And I said, "Look, lads, we've had great days together. We have tough days together. So you put the group before everything else. Nobody wants to do those things, and I concur with John. And I'm very fortunate to have experienced the other side of it. But that side of it is absolutely, it's just undescribable. It's because it's like you said there, you poured 9 months of your life and more into it. But I just can still remember Brian Cody saying to us, he said, "Lads, look, we have, we'll be back here next year." But, he had a few good things to say. And he said, "Lads, also," he said, "we have to do a function tonight and we have to do a homecoming tomorrow." And he said, "Without fail, to a man, we are doing that. We are doing it together. After that, then," he says, "you go your own ways, you go back to your clubs, and we'll." But he said, "We are doing that. That's part of what we do." And I remember that homecoming in 2010. I don't think the winning ones were better supported.
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to us as a group.
Yeah.
And it was really important.
Because I would think, Mick, if they'd lost by a point and it was an epic, they'd have one. So my suspicion is not that they're necessarily hiding. I think they probably just feel embarrassed and they've let everyone down. And almost like, we don't deserve any kind of homecoming. And I don't know, I'm surprised Pat Ryan or someone more senior, a bit older,
it's bigger than that, yeah,
sort of said, "Lads, actually, you haven't let anyone down to the extent that you should be shunned. Like, these people want to say well done and hard luck and commiserate, and you should allow them to do it, and it'll be good for you, it'll be good for everyone." I'm amazed no one senior up, years experience, kind of jumped in to say, "We're doing it," and allow yourselves to actually take the round of applause.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what the decision making and did someone go, "I know, lads, he says, I think you would say we have to do that."
Someone would.
Second half aside, like, they won a league and won a Munster. Didn't win anything last year when they had the homecoming. And I know it's the nature of the defeat and how demoralising and sobering it probably was. But like, I only played in one All-Ireland final in 2008 and we were well beaten. And I will never forget it, people of Borough coming out and the surrounding areas. It is the first part of the cleansing almost, and getting over it or whatever. And you're going to have to face people eventually. You can't kind of hide away. And I'm not necessarily saying they're hiding away, but I thought it was a strange call. And I know it's miserable outside and it's teeming rain and everything that comes into it. But as the lad said there, the people that will be there, nobody's going to make the trip. Like, Páirc Uí Chaoimh is not simple to get to now. It's a fair walk to get down there. They're not going to go unless they want to be there. And it's genuine Cork supporters. So, yeah, I am surprised at that. And, part of me then started thinking, I don't know, yeah, just even, like, I've unbelievable time for Pat Ryan and what he's done. And then you're kind of thinking, God, will this be the final? Will this be his final act as a manager potentially going forward? I don't know, and maybe there will be a change in that respect going forward too. But I do think it was a bit of a misstep. Yeah.
Well, if you're Pat Ryan or you're Wayne Sherlock, or if you're Brendan Conan, Fergal Condon, Donal O'Mahony, Donal O'Rourke, you have a bit of pride in yourself, and I would not be going out on those terms. I would not be. Would you? I would be. I'd have pride in myself.
Absolutely,
right,
and I take that decision as part of that. I think that's an indication that they won't be going anywhere.
No, there's no way we are ending our term on this. And I know Pat had 3 years, but I'm sure that the county board will say, "Look, there's another year there for you. You have to win in the league. You have to win the Munster Championship." And if it was me, I would be going home to the wife saying, "You know what? I'm going back next year and we're going to win Liam McCarthy and we're going to right the wrongs of that second half there yesterday." And I will be committing for another year.
Okay. Listen, the nuts and bolts of the game we'll get into. There was just, what a sweet moment just to note it, a sweet moment at the end to note it, where you kind of think sometimes with sport there's a bit of fate at play. I was watching back Darren McCarthy being sent off at the start of the Cork game in the summer. and it's easy to forget it now. But he's almost like staggering off the pitch. He's kind of got his jersey up around his face and kind of half covering his face, but can't see where he's going. Almost doesn't want to leave the field. Can't believe what's happened. And who comes off the bench to put his arm around him and walk him off forcibly? Only Noel McGrath.
He passes the ball to him.
And like McCarthy said, McCarthy's 4 years old when McGrath wins his first All-Ireland. So he's watched him.
McCarthy wasn't even born when Cork last won it.
There you go. And then some. And so there's Noel McGrath getting him off the pitch at the worst moment in his career. And fast forward to yesterday, that shot of Noel McGrath pointing the wagging finger for the pass to score the last point in the All-Ireland. I just thought, man, this is Tipperary's day. Like, it's just beautiful.
And it was like, the wag of the finger was like remember the 2010 when they're just pointing to their heads and Eddie won't like me bringing up that.
Don't make me get sick.
It's a meme. It's a meme that a lot of Tipperary people have been sending to me in the last week. But even McCarthy's touch, lads, to control the ball from McGrath's point. Somebody, one of the many white helmets whips on it out of the fence, and there's no way you control that ball first time. Boom, bang, out to McGrath. And you're just thinking, like, it literally was a fairy tale. Noel McGrath scores the last point, maybe in his last game, who knows. Seamus Kennedy comes on for the last 25 minutes, cruciate injury about 16 months ago. Do you know what I mean? Crazy stuff happened, and that's the only way to describe some of the things that happened in the second half. They were absolutely bonkers. Double digits. I was talking beforehand, it was double digits on the Cork side. It definitely wasn't double digits on the Tip side.
I think even the Tipperary supporters, where we were sitting, I was sitting with a few of them and a Cork chap, and I kind of thought, I said, geez, yeah, Cork are after getting a fair top up going in there now, just when they didn't get their mojo going at all, and they get a goal like that, and it was a superb finish because it was right in the corner and it had to hit a certain spot to beat Ree Shelley. And you go, right, Cork can kind of let the tension go out of their play a little bit. They were tense, which is understandable. And they were tentative. Their touch was poor, but their touch just carried. And it turns out now, look, that goal was obviously a little bit false. And again, with Tipperary, what they produced just after half time, like Andrew Ormon's couple of points, like a lot of Tipperary people, I'd say, were kind of, there was a nervousness about them for the second half. And especially then, Tip were on the pitch maybe 2-3 minutes before Cork arrived. But lads, a very eerie silence descended over the whole stadium just after the clash and Patrick Horgan. It was so unusual. And, you're kind of going, geez, if ever the tip needs to start, it was then, because Cork were on the brink of going 7 points up. And a huge debate, like, again, you go Patrick Horgan, one of the all-time greats and a flawless free taker generally, and you've Decky Dalton looking across at him, and it's just inside the 65-yard line, and it's
just Ned, I honestly think that was a game-changing moment, genuinely.
For me it was.
So it was.
Yeah. Like, they go 7 up, lads, there, and all of a sudden, no matter who you are in your mind, and no matter how mentally stable you are, you're thinking, geez, we conceded a goal before half-time here, and we're after conceding the first point second half. We're 7 down now. We should have went in 3 down. And actually, the same thing happened in the All-Ireland final last year. They were 1-8-4 up against Clare, and Connolly hit their first wide in the 15th minute, and Horgan missed a free before Clare got their next score. It was to go 8 up again. And like the boys know, in particular from playing big games, like if you just keep that scoreboard ticking and keep sowing the seeds it out, and it just opened the door ever so slightly, and then all of a sudden Conor Stakelum gets a point from the resultant wide, I think. Andrew Ormond has 2 points on the board within 2 minutes. Then you're looking at the score, like within 10 minutes of Horgan missing the free, Tipper ahead. It's nuts.
I'd argue, Mick, as well, like on that, as you said, you're looking at the polar opposites there, heaven and hell. And when Tipp actually got the first goal and went 2 points up, and then Cork replied, I still felt that match was, I just was looking at the body language all over the field. I watched it again. I watched the match again this morning. Jesus, Cork's body language. It was like as if something got into them on the day, because they had been awesome. They'd been absolutely awesome. And I wouldn't have looked at that Dublin performance in the negative. I know now people can say, oh, too much. I didn't look at it that way. I thought, here's a team that are growling and snarling and mad for road, and they're showing to their manager that they want to start an All-Ireland final. But whatever it was, And again,
what was the body
about
language,
tactics.
Eddie? What was the body language? What was it like?
Body language is just, I think you're not bouncing. You're not, like, you can see it in a lad. Like, you've seen, like, even, and I know it's a different scenario.
The legs are not properly moving.
But that's it. There was no real.
No.
Whereas every time I looked at the Tipp lads, even in the first half, like every time they got a ball, there was no kind of standing up and scanning. They were turning and moving and doing it all into one motion. Everything they done there was something happening. There was a purpose to it. Cork's just seemed to be more leggy or lateral or something. I don't know what it was. And even I thought in the first half particularly, Brian Hayes came out and got a ball, but the only one he got nice and clean out in front of Ronan Mark. And I think he popped off a point to maybe Healy. For me, he just plants them legs and he swivels around and it's straight to goal. You know, he like that's the difference. Whereas you looked at even Jake Morris there in the second half, he got one and there was an easy point on offer and he just went and he was going straight away. And
that was the one where he forced Downey to. It was the yellow card after, yeah.
But again, body language is like, and we see it, and I know myself from when you're not positive or you're not on your game, everything slows down and you're lethargic. Whereas when you're zinging, it just flows. It just you're not thinking. You're just playing the play and you're moving. Whereas I just thought, looking back, and a lot of the time, Cork, they were forced out the field the whole time. They were always forced back. And I just looking at it now, and we obviously have hindsight now, but to me, there wasn't one of the six forwards for Cork in the first half that was going to say, I'll take a few hurls broke off me here, but I'm going in. You know, and whereas and it's easy to say that now, but I just thought it needed one of them. And I thought Barrett's was the air breathing out. I thought someone needed to do that earlier. I thought they needed to draw a big foul out of a Tipp lad in front of the goal and say, right, intent here now. And that to me is the body language, Joe, I'm referring to. And it's horrible when it's against you because everything slows down. And I just thought with 20 minutes to go, Cork were bleeding very, very heavily at that stage. And I said, this match is done. You could just see the energy was flying through the Tipp lads at that stage. And you could sense it in the stadium.
Yeah.
And I experienced that in 2004. I'll be straight with you, lads. I remember very distinctly driving a ball wide with about 15 or 20 minutes to go. And in my own head, I was like, oh, we're done. Just please blow the whistle, ref.
That was horrible. Sorry, John.
But it happens to the best of teams. It happens to every team. Every team experiences it at some stage of their careers. Like, and the pressure got to him. The pressure got to him, lads. And we broke down the match. We broke down the match last week. How Tipperary were going to go at this match. How they were going to approach this match. How they were going to get the structure. How they were going to stay in this match, with the hope of bringing it down the home straight, bringing it to the 50-minute mark. And asking the question of Cork, well, do you really want to win the All-Ireland? And hoping then that we touched on it there that, you know, Tipperary, they've all the All-Ireland medals in their back pocket. There's no pressure on Tipperary. The weight of expectation lied with Cork, the 20-year wait. And it did. It clearly got him. And I don't care. I was there myself, you know, in 2008. It got us in the first half. But no one would have foreseen this at half time. No. But I'd echo what Eddie said. You could clearly see it in the first half. The scoreline at half time wasn't a true reflection of that first half. Tipperary quite easily could have been up 6 points rather than being 6 points down. And again, there was probably an air of naivety. They were naive in thinking that Tipperary were just going to go out mano a mano and hurl. And even I was down in Cork Thursday night doing a gig down in Cork, and you know, I think actually Liam Cahill pulled a master stroke.
He hoodwinked us all, Mull, didn't he?
By coming out and saying that Liam Cahill doesn't do sweepers, like, yeah, you know. And then even like Mark Chanders was on with us on the radio, and he was kind of just saying in his own, he was kind of breaking down the game, how the approach of Tipperary, how structurally wise, how they're going to approach it. And we were kind of myself, Joe Cannon and Shane McGrath saying, you know, Tipperary, they've no other option but to go with the extra man at the mat back and absolutely, saying, it's not in. They beat Cork up a stick yesterday. Even the matchups they got right. Craig Morgan went over on Barrett, albeit Barrett had a good first half. Craig Morgan no win him second half. Robert Doyle on Alan Conley. Even Robert Doyle going forward, putting Alan Conley on the back foot. And then who would have foreseen Willie Connors going over on Decky Doyle and Sam O'Farrell? Sam O'Farrell going into midfield. And then they had the two experienced boys up top, with Ford and McGrath. It was just a masterstroke by Liam Cahill.
And fellas, how do you think? Because at one stage people have pointed to the fact that the Cork sideline, as Pat Ryan surrounded by 5-6, all talking, all kind of flustered. How did Cork react to? Like I take the Liam Cahill point entirely, but like at the same time, it's not the first time we've ever seen a sweeper in hurling. Like, you know what I mean? They would have digested what had happened in 2 minutes. How did Cork react to that?
Hindsight is a great thing, but it was the positioning. It was the positioning of Mara,
Brian O'Mara,
than him being the extra body back there down the left channel. We seen it. Was it Galway played Limerick 2 or 3 years ago?
All-Ireland semi-final under Shane O'Neill. They filled the corner spot, or they filled that spot,
and they got a bit of joy out of it. But like Cork weren't ready for that at all, because what it is, they closed off that channel. They couldn't go down that channel, and when they did go down that channel, the ball was hit straight to Brian O'Mara. And what they did then, Joe, they flooded the other area of the other side with bodies. Now look, from a Cork point of view, I just couldn't get my head around that. Right, Alan Connolly was going to be followed. Hodgie was going to be followed. So if you wanted to create space, bring those boys out and then push someone up on O'Mara and go, right, you're going Mark and O'Mara, and it's every man accounted for. But they didn't bother going down that route.
No, and that's what surprised me was that, like I said there, it's not the first time. We're talking about sweepers now, go to 10 years and more. And you're telling me that you having 3 or 4 ways of playing. If we play against a sweeper, this is the way we play. If we play this way, this is the way we play. One of the things, and look, again, I echo John, we have the best vision of all now, right? But surely to God, the Cork management team sat down and asked the questions, where are we vulnerable, or what are Tipp going to bring that's going to stop us from scoring goals, or how would they go about that? And if they do, what do we do to react? I think Brian O'Mara played the position excellently because he did not try to be everywhere. I think the sweeper that tries to be everywhere doesn't.
He'd no interest, Ned, in getting over the other side. He was filling that channel.
Patrick Collins looked down and all he saw was him. So people probably asking, how do you counteract that? So if we're talking about that, well, one thing is possibly send your flood over on top of him and leave the space on the other side for 2 others to operate in. Like, you often see teams that when Tipperary in 2016 down in Limerick in the wet day, I think it was, Tyke de Borca played that 6. Tipperary got 4 forwards within 10 metres of them. They boxed them in and went high in on top of them. So there's ways of that, and that's what surprised me was that, okay, you can be caught by this, but what's your adjustment? And I think also probably the other thing was, I think Cork didn't seem to. I thought one matchup they got wrong was Downey on John McGrath. I thought, and I know O'Leary was marking Darren McCarthy, probably looking at size and all that. I thought that was a mismatch. I would have liked to have seen O'Leary take John McGrath. John McGrath is a wily old fox, and you really need to be on top of your game with him, especially when maybe he's not quiet. But Cork just didn't adjust, and Cork's free man then didn't hurt him. Cork didn't seem to be able to pick off points from the outside. But to be fair, with the way the sweeper was and his detail was to take out a flank, it forced Cork then into 50-50 ball, which suited Tipperary. It certainly suited Ronan Maher with high ball landing on top of Brian Hayes, and he plucked him. That's Ronan's game. That's biscuits to a bear to that man. The one thing Ronan Maher did not want to be doing was running around the field. But
do bears like fair, biscuits? They do. I haven't heard that one before now.
It's a soup. It's an Andy Comfort one.
When you said it, me and Nick looked at each other straight away and said, I don't think that's a saying. But anyway, go on.
I don't think so either, but I think Andy Comfort made it up. But no, in fairness to them, they executed the plan. And like what it was that it's brutal. And I've seen this before. I've seen a few teams doing that. They want space, and then suddenly there's no space there. There's an opposition jersey there, and suddenly you go, okay. And then they load it up on the other side. They're like, no, you're going to take all your own space. And that's what surprised me with the Cork management team. But in fairness to Liam Cahill, kudos to him, but massive kudos to the players who followed the instructions and executed. And especially the other thing I want to mention, and you'll be talking about your attacking division, your defensive division, right? Outside of Jason Ford and John McGrath, 6'1", is he? Outside of that, you have 4 tidy heighted forwards. They're not very tall, them guys, but by God, did they bring energy and work rate. Willie Connor's not a big man. Connor Stakelum, not a big man. But they brought, just talking even afterwards, Noel Hickey just were chatting up, afterwards, and he said, Tipp fought for everything. There was a snarl in their play, and he said you just could sense they were hungry, and fair play to them.
Joe, just on the tactical side of things, the first time I saw that kind of tactic in a real big game was Shane O'Neill was over in a Piershig and Con was just running wreck, and they just parked somebody in front of him in the club final in Croke Park and kept him quite quiet. And O'Neill did the same tactic then when Galway played Limerick, and it worked well. And it's not, as Eddie said there, and I think that's something that people need to be conscious of as well. He wasn't playing as your orthodox sweeper. He was not trying to get over there. He was filling that flank. And what amazed me was, I'd love to know the numbers. They must have looked at the numbers of it, that Cork go down that flank a hell of a lot more than the other side, because Cork still went down that flank even though he was standing there. They hit the ball to him 4 or 5 times when he's standing by himself, and it sucks the energy out of you. And I was just chatting various people this morning, and they're just saying, it is a basic enough kind of tactic. And you would just wonder, was there a plan B? Was there really a plan B apart from get the ball to our inside line as quick as possible? Tipp denied them of that, or denied them of good ball inside. And it's there was no other options or ideas left.
Mick, the way the two boys are talking there about how you manipulate space when you're against a sweeper, honestly, the way Eddie and John explained it, the few options you have, that doesn't sound like it's more than a 15-minute chat almost. Do you know what I mean? Really? If this happens and you're being tagged and you're being tagged, you come over here, space there, boom. That doesn't sound rocket science.
Oh, no,
either.
it's not. No, and it's something you can solve in the field a lot of the time, to be honest with you. A conversation amongst a couple of players even.
Yeah, Eddie.
Yeah, and that's where your training comes into play. That you need the boys to adjust to that, and we're talking about communication and seeing that your awareness on the pitch. Okay, they're setting up, they're doing this, right? Let's the players should almost have the fixes in advance, and then it's just maybe tidy up. But even on that, geez, lads, how do you make a decision when there's 5 or 6 lads chiming in? And I know it's the best will in the world. They were well intended and all that, but is it a little bit much? Do you know? And you probably need something quick. But
that looked, all the best sidelines almost have kind of a protocol. It's almost military in its precision. It's X number of voices, you talk to him. This isn't just a free-for-all, because pressure only comes on once or twice a year. And that's what the real test of all your kind of processes, for want of the worst word. I guarantee you, Jim Gavin's not having 10 people around him, 5 people around him. It's 1, 2, and not even then.
Brian Cody as well. He was.
I'm sure, yeah.
Either Canuck or Kiley, but what I couldn't understand before the sending off, how they were looking at it for 45, the best part of 45, 50 minutes without counteracting it. I just was scratching my head and saying, this is inter-county, and you don't have a tactic where you're going to counteract that extra body down that left channel. It was just baffling.
And you didn't see anything after the halftime break, which is your best opportunity, obviously, to do that. You didn't see any big change in Cork immediately after half-time?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't know that either, no. And just on that, Joe, I have to say...
And believe it or not, Joe, I was going in for a cup of coffee at half-time, and, Cork were 6 points down, and the question that was posed to me, and I was saying...
6 points up, yeah.
No, Cork were 6 points up, and I was saying, people were saying, I think Henry remarked at half-time that you can't win, and even the boys on RT were saying that, you can't win an All-Ireland with a 7 defender. And I believe it or not, I was actually saying they should continue the same structure going into the second half, because the only thing it was working bar on the scoreboard, because you go through it. Jason Ford had an opportunity for goal. Connolly had an opportunity for goal. They had 9 wides.
Yeah.
And even there was stages of that match out in the half forward, and we were saying, right, you have 5 yards, just take it on more, even back yourself even more. And that's what Jake Morrison and Andrew Arnon done in the first half.
But you have to run it. You have to run it.
Yes,
Then when you're playing that way, the boys have to run the ball.
Just on that, like, don't give me any talk about this being in any way a negative tactic. The boys are 100% right. Tipp had conceded 18 goals in their last 5 big games against Cork. 18 goals between the league final and the last 4 championship meetings. You have to, they put a plan in place, as Mull said, to keep themselves in the game and sow the seeds of doubt. And by God did they sow the seeds of doubt, and they took Cork's soul in the last 20 minutes.
So, look, you've touched on it probably, but this is still so nuts in that in the 35 minutes second half, Tipperary won that by 21 points. Yeah. Like, for everything you're saying about Cork not adapting, and I accept it, they scored 2 points in nearly 40 minutes of hurling. And even when Downey was sent off, what was that with? Have it here. 15 minutes to go. In a game of hurling, 15 minutes to go, Downey off. Right. Already I was like, sure, it's done.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah.
But how many games of hurling do you watch this summer where it's done with 15 minutes? It's not even done with 15 seconds to go a lot of the time. I just don't understand how Cork died that much.
What I couldn't get my head around, and Eddie touched on the body language. You could clearly see that the body language just wasn't at the pitch with some of these players. And you look, I've the programme in front of me. You've seen the calibre of players that are on the Cork subdivision. I mean, I gave him a rating of 9. That's how highly I rate him. And for me, after 45 minutes, that's when you should have been thrown in the likes of Robbie Flynn, Kingston.
But they needed energy,
yeah.
They needed energy, they needed legs, and they waited too long. And when the goal, the penalty went in, it was too late to be bringing in subs.
Yeah, Kingston come on in the 64th minute, lads.
That's true.
You know what I mean? The game was over.
Are you putting it down to tension and anxiety and nerves and the legs were empty? Is that the story?
There's a good bit of that. Once McCarthy's penalty hit the net, I looked around and I've been in the position, and I'd say the boys have as well. There was lads looking at the ground, and and you are done. If that's, you know what I mean? You were saying, Joe, about you are always in a game. If you believe you're in a game, you could be 15 down. If you believe you can turn it. But you were looking around, and I just literally looking around, I was like, that ball hit the net. I was like, just look, the body language can tell so much.
And it's a horrible feeling. I remember a few times I've experienced it. It's absolutely brutal because you know the sky is almost going black, as you know we're done here, and it's like it's just like a slow, painful death. Like I remember even the league final in 11. It's strange. We were in the league final with Dublin in 11, and it was only coming down the last couple of minutes that they pulled away. It was tight enough, but I could just feel it. We were trying to set up with a man down and try to create space, and nothing was working. And you just, in your own head, it's a battle with your own head. You're going, oh shit, we're in trouble here, like. And that was the thing. I thought Brian Hayes is one that hits the post. Why not burn the legs and go? Connolly's one out under the Cusack stand. Put the head down and go. You'll do well to outrace Doyle. But at the same time, he had a bit of a head start. Said, do you know what? Let's go in here now and get in close or whatever. And that's where you're talking about, would Robbie O'Flynn bring you that direct, hard running? Even Tim O'Mahony never got... It was clearly a tactic. Hey boys, this lad is not to be allowed to pick up a ball and go marauding through the middle. The physical contact that Tipperary has, that's not fouling, it's just jockeying for position, was brilliant. There was always contact on the Cork fella. They never let him go without there being a little bit of a powwow. Like,
who were the best players for Tipp?
I just come in with Willie Connor straight away, lads. I thought he was unbelievable. He will never, like, he saved his best game in his life for the biggest occasion of them all, in a position that no one would have predicted that he would play.
He's half-back marking Dick Dalton.
And
he giving way about a foot and a half to Declan Dawes.
I'm even looking at it here, and it was just mentioned it yesterday. Tipper 9-6 down. Horgans after getting a point. Lovely score. And Willie Connors makes a run of about 80 yards down the Cusack stand side. Rhys Shelley pops it into space for him, and Connors has Dalton on the back foot, puts it over. Like, that's the sort of mood him and his teammates were in. They were making things happen. They weren't waiting for things to happen. I thought he was unbelievable. I honestly thought, and I would... Scoring exploits are great, and I thought Ronan Matter was brilliant at snuffing out Hayes as well. For me, it was probably Willie Connors 1, Darren McCarthy 2, Ronan Matter 3. I thought Connors was out of this world.
He had a big game, yeah. He was huge, but every one of the Tipperary players were on task. Like, none of them to be fair to them, none of them really lost their individual battles, and like they just never let Cork get a flow at all. And I think it was clearly part of the tactics. Say, lads, you just play it minute by minute, keep at them, keep stopping them. Like Cork were never able to get to that. You're talking a 10 or 12 metre further platform to deliver ball in the first half.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to do it.
It's gas, Ned, you mentioned that. It does make some difference. They were just striking from a bit further back. Just it didn't look that much to the like untrained eye or whatever, but it made some difference.
Oh, it's huge. And then you look at I thought what was really good with Tipperary in their way of creating space was that you had one or two back inside, and then even though they had the kind of extra man looking for the short one, the midfielders and half forwards, two of them and the midfielders would come up and bring Cork lads with them, and they just created huge pockets of space. And all you wanted them was one lateral runner, and he's getting the ball with 40 metres of space in front of him. And Reece was poking him into I thought in the first half when Cork were kind of tipping along nicely, I think Cork went, I think 4 points to 1 before the goal. They outscored Tipp possibly 4 points to 1 just before the goal, or something like that. And you kind of sense, but Tipp were always able to work something. They just kept working. And funny enough, the Cork halfbacks went real touch tight on their men, which really suited the Tipp lads because they have the wheels to go across a big amount of space. Whereas Cork, I thought, had they done something similar and filled the flank and cheated the space a little bit, it might then have forced Tipperary a little bit different.
John, give us a word on John McGrath and Darren McCarthy, because McGrath, the 2 goals, like one of them, so, just that one in the air forever, brilliant. And he wins the penalty, the catch, down he's sent off. And then like the context for McCarthy is everything, in that he's 19 years of age. He's been sent off twice this year. Some people said, well, he should, like, do you start him in a final? It's debatable. Didn't miss one free, and he was getting plenty of abuse during the frees as well. Didn't miss one. 4 points from play, just one wide from play. So a word on McGrath and McCarthy, John.
Yeah, well, just before that, right? Usually on All Ireland final day, there's 1 or 2 players, even 3 players would get a rating of 6. I don't think any Tipperary player came in with a rating of 6. I think they were all 7, 8, possibly 9. And I'll just say on man of the match, Joe, I tuned into the group there. I'd usually pick four players, 2 on either side, 1 forward and 1 back. And for Cork, I picked Shane Barrett. I was onto a good thing at half time. And I had Kieran Joyce at 33 to 1. I had Barrett at 12 to 1. And then I done Andrew Armand at 14 to 1. And I picked Ronan Maher at 40 to 1. I backed Ronan Maher before. And the mistake I made, there was a double market on the Paddy Power website. So I picked Kieran Joyce, Shane Barrett, and Andrew Armand on the RT to be the RT man of the match. Thought nothing of it, picked back in. Ronan Maher 40 to 1. He was looking at it to be the BBC man of the match. 5 on him. Looked up last night. Geez, I have Ronan Maher. I looked at it then. RT man of the match, and there he is. He picks up. I have it down as the BBC man of the match. So just throwing it out there now. There was no BBC man of the match, so I was scratching my head saying, "Oh my God!"
This is worse than when Brian Cody robbed Eddie Brennan's man of the match.
That's
I don't think you mentioned it. Brian got a holiday out of that as well.
Sorry, we did mention it. It was edited out for some reason. Okay. Someone legally was like, "Did he? Let's just take it out." I don't know.
But only someone like me could make that mistake. But yeah, going back to it, Darren McCarthy. I mean, leading into this match, Joe. I mean, there was talk that will he even start the match?
Yeah.
Will he be on the freeze? And we've seen time and time again. It happened. John McGrath in the 2019 All Ireland semi-final. Sent off, came with an unbelievable All-Ireland final. And Darren McCarthy, for what, he's 19 years of age, lads. He scored 113, 1-4. He scored 4 points from play and 1-9 from play spoils.
Mull, I think there's only 3 people have scored more or the same as him in an All-Ireland final in history. Like
4th highest.
Yeah.
Lads as well, just Mull, sorry, I'm going to jump in. I watched it again a couple of times here this morning. That penalty, lads, it's unbelievable. The one from behind him, where he leans as if he's coming down to the right, and then he just puts the hands ahead of the hurl and slaps. It's
like a good block in hurling, but he meant it. Or sorry, a good
incredible.
block in
He
golf,
just
but he meant
slide
it.
the hurl across it is brilliant.
But the 2 goals, Joe, from John McGrath, I mean, you're there, you're seeing pull on it first time, but he has the composure, so relaxed. I wouldn't say so relaxed in that moment, but so experienced. Say, right, I'm going to compose myself here now, get it back up, stick it in the back of the net. I've been here before.
Tapped it in, passed it in.
Yeah.
Passed it in was unbelievable. But the second goal, I mean, the old saying, fortune favours the brave. I mean, he had no business getting that goal. I mean, and to get the connection on it in the flies, Patrick Collins he's known that Patrick Collins is in no man's land, but the connection on that ball in mid-air was just incredible.
That's the hardest skill in the game, to me, doubling on the ball or connecting on the ball in the air. You could do it. I was doing it at training yesterday morning before I got busted open, and you could have 10 balls come across, and you could make good contact with 1 out of 10. It's just so.
Is that right?
Oh, it's so difficult.
I didn't know that.
Oh, it's so difficult. Yeah.
Why?
It's just not a normal thing to do, to be kind of striking a ball like that. And plus, it's like usually when you're striking it, you have control of it in front of you, whereas with a moving ball, it's just so difficult to coordinate your body around it.
But he's running and he's not looking, and then he glances.
Yeah.
And he's setting himself before he gets there. Like, it's an incredibly difficult thing to do.
The only other goal I would put on par with it would have been Joe's one against She in the 2012 Leinster final. Remember the one where he swiveled around? For me, that would be something similar if you had to kind of put it on par with it.
It's interesting because I played Gaelic football, not hurling. So, fisting a ball into a net is no big deal. So I've underestimated that goal.
Oh, no.
I thought the big thing was the bravery that he could get cleaned out because he wouldn't have eyes on the keeper.
Well, that's another thing as well. I don't like keepers leaving their line in general, but if Collins rushes more, it's human instinct to take your eye off the ball ever so slightly, and all of a sudden you don't make contact. But that, to me now, that's why Jimmy Barry's goal that John Fenton sends in that delivery, and Jimmy Barry changes the direction of the ball ever so slightly in the air. They're the best goals. They mightn't look the best, but they're the hardest to execute.
But what's at play at the back of that too, lads, is that John McGrath knows that if Collins decides he's going through everyone there, you're going to get really hurt. And if a goalie comes hard, or if you know that ball that's halfway, and you know lads are coming, and you know that the big sog is coming.
The Schumacher job, wasn't that his name? Schumacher, the German goalkeeper.
Yeah, but you're so vulnerable. You're completely vulnerable with eyes on the ball.
But Joe, just before we go, I mean, Liam Cahill. I mean, lads, let's put this into context. The job that he's after doing in such a short space of time. I mean, we were here. This is the 3rd year. I mean, let's break it down, lads. All right, he took over from Colin Bonner. Right now, Colin's a good lad, but they were in a fairly low place now, Joe. All right, and for me, I said it last year. All right, there was probably Tipperary people back 3 years ago looking at that Tipperary job, saying, you know what, I'm not going to go next or near that job. I'm going to bide me time. Leave someone else go in there now, take over. And you've seen it time and time again. Wait for the moment, get the timing right, and then take over the team. But no, Liam Cahill put his hand up. He was under pressure even the previous year when Colin Bonner first took the job. He said, no, I'm going to stay with Waterford. I'm going to continue with Waterford. But then the pressure came on then to take over the Tipperary job. The easiest thing in the world for Liam Cahill to do 3 years ago, Joe, say, you know what? That job doesn't interest me. Come back to me in a couple of years' time. I'm happy down at Waterford where I am. I'll do it a couple of more years in Waterford. Let someone else in there and I'll take over then. No, he didn't. He took over the job on a rather low ebb. And that just makes this achievement such an astonishing achievement. And to think where they were 12 months ago, we go back to that game against Cork in Thurles, where they're out-supported on their home soil by possibly 10-1. They were beaten by 17, or was it 18 beaten out the gate by 18 points, right? The nights were out in Tipperary, Joe. The nights were out in Tipperary. There's an awful lot of the Tipperary public were saying he has to go. It was probably a difficult time for him. He made a lot of wholesale changes. He brought in fresh blood. Even I would have been saying back in January, he got rid of Carl Barrett. I was saying, wow, that's a big, big ballsy call to make, leaving a fella out like Carl Barrett. But he said, no, he said, I got to freshen it up. Brought in someone like Robert Doyle for a replacement for Carl Barrett. Freshened it up. Brought Jake Morris out to the half-forward line. Even then brought Andrew Ormond out to the half-forward line. Put Rhys Shelley on the goal. And he was under immense pressure. Let's call a spade, lads. He was under immense pressure. And if Tipperary didn't do anything this year, the likelihood he would have been shown the door. And here he is now, in such a short space of time, they win the All-Ireland. And it's just massive, massive, massive kudos to that man. And I did say it, lads. I was on this podcast last year. And when the nights were out, I did back him. I say, lads, give this man time. I seen him firsthand down at Waterford, Joe. And I went to a couple of... I was allowed into a couple of the training sessions with Mikey Bevins. And I was absolutely blown away. And speaking to a couple of the inter-county lads up in my own club, they've nothing but huge praise and great words about Liam Cahill. And I think we're only realising now in Waterford, the appreciation of such a great job Liam Cahill done at Waterford. Because let's call a spade a spade. The COVID final, we got beaten. And in the 2021 All-Ireland semi-final, the only thing standing in the way of Waterford winning an All-Ireland in those 2 years was a Limerick team in their pomp. And I'll tell you, I was absolutely gutted when Liam Cahill left Waterford. But I'll tell you, I was gutted for Pat Ryan, because I still believe that Pat Ryan is a decent man, and good things should happen to good people. But I tell you, I was absolutely thrilled for Liam Cahill and Mikey Bevins that they had their day in the sun yesterday.
But the pity, this more like he was undermined below in the final year, and that was really disappointing to see that happen. You go, God Almighty, lads, you had a quality manager there. He had kept the dressing room so quiet. And I remember going into the couple of matches, the one down in Ennis against Clare. Yeah. The team was out. There was all sorts of shenanigans going on. So to the people Eddie,
going back to his 3 years in Waterford, right? And Liam would probably admit this himself, right? Between the Limerick game, they went up to the Limerick in the Gaelic grounds in 2022, right? They beat Tipperary in the first round at Welsh Park. They went up, gave a really good account of themselves up in Limerick, came up short by 3 or 4 points that night.
Yeah.
And I think if Liam would probably tell himself, I think they got the training load wrong between the Limerick game and the Cork game in that 3-week period. And I think they were probably a bit flat against Cork. And possibly then the players probably down tools for the Clare game. But overall,
and I'm not
overall in his 3 years, Eddie, he'd done a remarkable job.
No, he did absolutely, and there's nothing that. But that's my point, is that, like you say, Jesus, Waterford are probably kicking themselves now, going, to have held on to him maybe for another year or two. But I think, lads, just one important point too, and I kind of referenced this early in the year, that during the league that there was clearly a little bit of bloodletting done within that Tipperary group. And I think it was coming off the back of the 13-man minor success in Nolan Park. And unfortunately, I'm kind of giving myself a kick in the arse here to some degree as a Kilkenny person. But they turned around, and I would imagine they questioned, after that defeat in Thurles last year, having come through the round robin, I'd say the starting point of their season was hanging up that Tipperary jersey in the dressing room in front of the group, and say that 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds went down to Nolan Park and fought for every inch to win an All-Ireland. And here we are as men, adults, experienced players and a group. And if we can't, and it's something they've clearly latched on to, I suspect that there was a bit of hard talking done about and it's like any group. You've been part of strong groups, Mull. You talk about your legacy and say, lads, when we pull off that jersey, what kind of health is it in? And you'd have to say that was something that I thought was very clear with this Tipperary bunch this year. They were on a mission. And again, I referenced the collective spirit. I thought it was superb. Compared to Liam Cahill.
Well, this year, how many times did he reference putting pride back in the jersey?
Yeah.
I'd say, if you break it down, I'd say he referenced it numerous times throughout the course of the year. And I'll tell you, Joe, I'm watching Tipperary hurling possibly since 1987. I would rank this as the great, in that time period. I can't go back to they obviously didn't win All-Irelands, they won one All-Ireland in 71. Obviously the great years in the 60s. But within the last 40 years, I would rank this as Tipperary's greatest All-Ireland win.
I'd be the same as that, Joe. This is, to me, this is the best I've seen. It's the most, it was, number one, it's the most unlikely. And if you look at the path, lads, they drew with Limerick in the first round of Munster, 6 in a row Munster champions. Cork beat them, fair enough. They were defending league champions. They went out to 14.
That was the red card.
Yeah. They beat the defending All-Ireland champions down in Ennis.
By 3.
They beat the Division 1B league champions Waterford. They beat the Leinster finalists Galway. They beat the McDonagh Cup finalists Laois, fair enough. They beat the 6 in a row Leinster winners in Kilkenny, and they beat the league and Munster champions in the All-Ireland final. Like, paths to glory don't get any better than that. Offaly beat 3 teams in 81 to win All-Ireland. Like, Tipp literally took them all out.
I think what was also significant too was not being in the Munster final. Yes, he would love to have been there, but I think in the context of the year and what journey they were on, it arguably was beneficial not to be in that Munster final.
But you know the crazy...
Cal will turn around and say they'll want, going forward, they will want the Munster medals, no doubt about it. But just in a whole this season, it was okay to not be in that Munster final and get the training paddock done and get a little softer game to get you ready.
They're all talking as well about Clonakilty in the winter, and like, it's funny. It's John's point as well. Like, you know, not much difference between patting the back and the kick in the arse. Like, it's only honestly about 2-3 weeks ago I saw Liam Cahill's, you wrote the story at Mick, one of his assistants, kind of defending how hard we train, and he doesn't flog them, and, you know, all this kind of stuff, and yet they're all talking about Clonakilty. But it's just worth mentioning in terms of legacy and how this kind of impacts a couple of players. Like, you take Michael Breen, Jason Ford, Seamus Kennedy, Ronan Marr, John McGrath, they all suddenly jumped to 3 All-Irelands. Now, I don't know why, but 3 sounds a hell of a lot better than 2. And then Noel McGrath, 4 All-Irelands. It's such a sweet one for these guys. Like, their careers just have an extra bit of sparkle.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Well, Noel McGrath is a standalone Tipperary player going back to the last 40, 45 years. Like, there's no one else.
No one else is 4, did they not? No, yeah.
No one else in Tipperary, going back to the team pre-71 and all that.
Yeah.
Like, Noel McGrath is a standalone.
Do you know the crazy? But
yeah,
they only have a 50-50 chance for me of getting to the All-Ireland series next year. While someone like Galway, who are probably going to be going through a transitional period, have possibly still an 80% chance of getting to the All-Ireland series.
Do you need to open that Pandora's box at 58 minutes into this thing, do you?
Open it up, Mull.
Jesus, that's a January conversation, Mull. Come on.
Let them enjoy it.
Just Joe, quickly on like mad things that happened in the game yesterday.
Yeah.
Lee Shelley was the first ever goalkeeper to score from play.
Jeez, it was a great score, wasn't it?
Unbelievable.
And he enjoyed it as well.
Like, to be honest with you, just on him as well, that little pow with Horgan before the break, I don't know. Listen, I don't know what was said, but the intimation is that Horgan said something to Shelley after the goal went in or whatever, and Shelley was in his face, and then there was a bit of a pow going down the tunnel, and there was a bottle landed in Declan Dalton's way or whatever.
Saw that, yeah. That's not good.
No.
Was that in the crowd?
I don't know. I don't. From my vantage point, it wasn't from the crowd. Yeah, from my vantage point, it wasn't from the crowd.
It wasn't
from the crowd. No, it might have been from someone sitting in the crowd, but it was from what I saw, it was someone who was involved with one of the panels, shall we say?
Right. Okay.
That's what I saw anyway.
Right.
But there was just that kind of seemed to spur Tipperary on almost. Like, and Shelley was like a man possessed. Like, the penalty save to his wrong side. Like, he saved it on the wrong side. Like, that's the right side to hit the penalty if you want to beat him. And then he blasts the ball into the Hogan stand. Like, and Ned is going to have to try and take him down off the high when he comes back to my Carkey Boris training in a couple of weeks as well. Good luck with that. And somebody tweeted me after, they just said, and this is the new calm, relaxed version of Reese. If that's the relaxed version, I'll tell you something just on him as well. Tipp conceded 6 goals in their first 2 Munster games this year. Since he came in for the Clare game, they conceded 6 goals in their last 6 games. They conceded 1 goal per game. They conceded 1 chance in the first half, even yesterday. This was a different type of Tipp. Yeah. This was a different type of Tipp.
But go back to that All-Ireland semi-final. Robert Doyle, that last ditch save, they're not in the final.
Yeah.
You know, he's had his Nicky Quaid moment. Nicky Quaid, that last flick on Seamus Narrowly. Limerick wouldn't have been All-Ireland champions. Would Limerick have pushed on to have the success they had? God knows.
Well, boys, look how cruel the world of sport can be. Patrick Collins thinks he's doing a good thing yesterday,
Yeah.
knowing that his team are struggling and he's trying to bring down a ball with a good intention. And look what the product of that is. It's awful. And then Reece Shelley's one against Kilkenny is arguably a moment that means that Kilkenny don't go 3 up at a stage they're utterly dominant, and he has the bravery to do that. But look, just on him quickly, and I'm obviously quite biased. He's a good lad. He has developed so much in the last couple of seasons. He got his call in 2023. He went in and had a great season for Tipperary mid-season. Liam Cahill cast him into the team again. He was really, really good. I think possibly nominated for an All-Star. I'm not sure. He was out last year. Liam Cahill went for Barry Hogan, and then to go with him this year, I think it's good resolve of a guy to turn around and be patient and wait your chance. And I'm sure, look, at times that's a frustrating place to be, because as a goalkeeper, you don't get too many options. You don't get too many days that you're consistently being put in. But in fairness to him, and even yesterday, the range of his puck outs is excellent. Yeah. And that was the difference for me this year with Tipperary. He gave Tipperary a different platform, particularly when you look at the busy little bees he has up the field and how much they love to move for you. And once they're moving and creating space, no better man to find it. And look, on a personal level, you'd be delighted for him.
Lads, just before we go, where to now for Cork? I mean, this is going to be a hard one to come back from.
Yeah. This is the hardest of them all. In 2021, it was kind of a new team, if you get me. This team, the vast majority of this team have lost three All-Irelands, and they've been annihilated in 2 of them. And I just say, I know the 2 boys hopped on it and said the counterpoint. If this had happened in Pat Ryan's second year, I would say, okay, that's happened. We'll learn from it and grow. But they were so close last year, and now this happens in the 3rd year. I wouldn't be, and I think Pat is an absolute gentleman, and you will not meet nicer, salt of the earth, and he's done unbelievable work with this group, and they've ended league famines, and they've won their first Munster in 7 years. I wouldn't be surprised if he stepped away and Ben O'Connor came in. I wouldn't be a bit surprised, and in fact, I probably even think it's highly likely, to be honest with you, that they might think that they need someone else to get them over the line. And I mean this in the best way. Ben O'Connor has an ignorance about him, and I mean that as a compliment, that squad might need going forward. That's just my personal opinion based on what I saw yesterday.
He's worked with a lot of them, but I suppose it's not any time soon that for me, if that is to, I don't know, again, I'm not going to say, I don't have a very clear opinion on whether he should or shouldn't, but I definitely think that it would be a nice bit of consideration would have to go into it before. It's a big decision, and I think there should be a decent bit of conversations around that, particularly with some of his players, because that's where you'll find the fuel to go again, and maybe one more is the way to go, or whatever it is. But it's definitely not something you'd be hoping that I don't think a quick decision, and you need to let the whole air go out of this and let it settle down a little bit, let the lads off back and then have a chat. But obviously these timelines have to be moved on too. But I think he has done a really good job with this team, and it's unfortunate, but it happens to the best of managers and the best of teams that the wheels come off the wagon, and it's so hard to get them back on the worst day of all that you want that to happen.
Just on that, Joe, as well, we're all still puzzled kind of about how it happens. God only knows what that squad is going through and what the management team are going through. And I don't know how long it would take to find answers. It would take a hell of a long time to find answers, because it's, like as Eddie said, 3-14 to 2 points. This is, obviously there's a collapse from a Cork point of view, but from a Tipp point of view, it's probably the greatest half ever put together.
I'd even go so far, lads, as long as I can remember a game of hurling, and the 1990 All-Ireland was a big turnaround for Cork to beat Galway. But that is arguably one of the best, most complete 35 minutes of hurling I've seen out of any team as long as I'm watching hurling. And we might be liking to give our neighbours too many compliments, but that was serious performance in the second half.
He played in one of them as well. Their one in 08, their first half was 2-16 to 5. Limerick's first half in 2021 was 3-18 to 1-11. This is 3-14 to 2 points.
That's nuts.
It's when the game is going down the straight in All-Ireland final, 3-14 to 2 points. It's absurd,
and
really.
They took an almighty shot to the guts on the nose going in at half time.
Yeah.
Fellas, we'll wrap it up there. Our GAA coverage, I should say, is with thanks to AIB at the heart of Gaelic Games across club and county. 2025, celebrating a decade of sponsoring the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship, the final, obviously, of which is on Sunday coming, which we'll get to. You can check out #TheToughest for more. John Mullane, brilliant stuff. John, thanks, man.
You're welcome, Joe.
Eddie Brennan, brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers, boys.
Just the 7 more Jubilee days for you. And Michael Verney.
Withdrawal symptoms
Thank
go
you.
over the next while, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, what are we going to do now?
We'll get well stuck into the club game, but it's just it's a long time to be waiting for county action.
It is. All right, fellas, super. Thanks.